Hello. All right. Balance is not always about having everything compartmentalized perfectly. And sometimes it's really about embracing the mess that we are in and knowing that sometimes certain area of our life would need a little bit more attention. All right, we have finally wrapped up all Therapy Wisdoms series, and I hope you enjoy all the episodes. If you missed that out, the cards here. And today I am diving into this new, I wouldn't call it a series, but more like a project that I'm doing. As an entrepreneur myself, I know that there are so much resiliency, so much wisdoms, and so much lessons to be learned during the journey. So MINC.Care is going to explore brand narratives, especially those who are an ally in mental health topics, mental health conversations, and we all love that about brands nowadays. When we talk about well balanced life, we kind of have this picture of work, play, relationship, dance harmoniously in sync with one another. Imagine you are this person and you have all these aspects around you, and all these aspects are moving 10 out of 10 all the time. Let's be real, life is not a perfect routine. Even our day to day look so different with just one change. Like if today rains, my routine is going to be different. So having a well balanced life really isn't about having everything 10 out of 10. It's learning how to lean in one aspect to the other aspect, because knowing that this is life and you are going to have days where a certain aspect will not be moving as well, and that does not mean that you are a failure. So as we talk about balancing different aspects of our life, I would like to introduce the founders of Libra Wellness, Carmen and Jeremy. When I first saw both of them and I got in touch with Carmen, we talked about our struggles during the COVID 19, and it really hit us hard on how hard and difficult it was to keep it going. And I think at times life would feel like that. It feels difficult to keep going. And I see so much resiliency in Carmen. And by the time I met Jeremy, what really stood out to me is definitely Jeremy having a sloth tattoo that is literally the logo of MINC.Care. This collab is meant to be. What really amazed me the most is how Carmen and Jeremy actually balanced their relationship as life partners and also business partners. And they are exactly the perfect example of how having a well balanced life doesn't mean that you have everything compartmentalized equally. So, here I am going to share with you three lessons that I've learned from the both of them as entrepreneurs, as life partners, on how to build that resiliency and how to build that well balanced life. The first lesson that I've learned is to always dedicate yourself to self development, or self awareness, at least. You get to learn about yourself before you get to learn how to work with the other person. Especially for Carmen and Jeremy, this was exceptionally important for the both of them to have enough self awareness to know what triggers them, what is important for them, what they need at the moment. A lot of us actually find it so difficult to communicate what we need. Sometimes we might need space, sometimes we might need to lean into one another extra. When I hear about how they manage these two big areas of their life as life partners and also business partners, I hear it very clearly that they both know when they need space and when they need to lean into one another, and how they can learn to work with one another. And no matter where you are at life, whether you are staying with a life partner, whether you are working in a new job, The more you understand yourself, the more you're able to communicate what you need. So I would highly, highly encourage everyone to find a way to learn more about yourself, about what you love and what you hate and what you need. All right, so we have heard of this very popular saying of not bringing work home and leave your work where it is. But for Carmen and Jeremy's case, it is not very possible because they come home to their business partners. And even when people tell me that I should leave work at work and not bring them home, I would like to encourage everyone to have a more flexible approach to this. Why so? As adults, we actually spend most of our time at work. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that there is a clear cut between the both, but instead, I would like to say that it's a blur line. Sometimes work would eat up. For example, when you achieve something at work, you will feel happy, and that would affect you at home, right? When you lose a project, for example, you might also feel disappointed, and sometimes those emotions do spill over to your personal life. And that's perfectly fine, right? As long as it doesn't consume you as a whole. So, how do we kind of like balance that out? Well, Carmen and Jeremy, they actually are business partners and they are work partners. And when I asked them, how do they do that? They gave me quite a few good pointers, I would say. Number one is to find ways that work, and everything is trial and error, which is such a good point. And knowing that if one thing doesn't work, it doesn't mean that this is not meant to be. And with that said, I really love that they treat their relationship as a base camp. And what that means is that this base camp is something that they always come back to. So the method of how they separate work and life is merely a method. There are so many ways. And they even told me that at this moment, they decided to have their own space outside of their living home in order to separate that better. It was such a good approach because they have tried different ways along the way in order to find this solution. And will this solution change in future? Maybe, but knowing that they are doing this together and this is their base camp and they always have something to go back to. Last but not least is to embrace change in your partner and not expect change. And these two are very, very different things. In therapy, as a therapist, I would always bring this up during therapy that I am here to journey with you through the change. However, the change is your responsibility. And you have to take that responsibility of making the change. Yet you don't have to do this alone. And I think about that a lot, especially in relationships. A lot of us try to change people around us in order to achieve certain ways of communicating, certain ways of living. However, we really can't change someone that doesn't want to change. Yet, the only constant in life is change. And knowing that your partner will have certain things that might take a longer time to change or not change, and that is entirely up to them. I'm also embracing that beautiful change that is happening along the way. And sometimes we lose sight of the process of the change. We are such resilience human being. And even before COVID, after launching the business, moving from one country to another, I believe that there are a lot of change within them and also within the relationship as one. So embracing change is definitely one of the skills that we need to start learning to in order to build that resiliency in relationships itself. A well balanced life is not just about compartmentalizing everything in your life. Sometimes it's really about leaning into one aspect more than the other and not letting one aspect consume you as a whole. And I would like to also give a huge shout out to Carmen and Jeremy from Libra Wellness. I love how they are so open to talk about mental health in such a raw and genuine way. If you want more brands to hop on, and if you want me to talk more about brands, especially Malaysia brands, I would love to support the local brands. Please reach out to me. You know where to reach me. Here are all my social media accounts where you can talk to me. And with that said, thank you so much for hopping on. I'll see you when I see you. Bye.